I never intended to have a dog trained at the NAVHDA utility level. When our breeder did temperament testing on the litter of 8-week-old vizsla puppies, she brought a pigeon with a string attached to its foot into her garage. Our puppy, she told us, had no interest in the pigeon. All she wanted to do was play with the string. Good, I thought. We're not going to hunt with her anyway. We lived outside Washington, D.C. and shopped at Crate and Barrel. We weren't hunters. We wanted a vizsla as a running partner, and quite honestly, because they were cute. A year after we gotten our vizsla, Zara, our breeder suggested entering the AKC Junior Hunter Test that the local vizsla club was organizing. Sure, why not, I said, figuring it might be fun. And that's where I caught the bug. Watching Zara fly over the grassy fields at the hunt test, her excitement was contagious. She found quail after quail, pointing intently at each one. The judges were impressed, and she earned perfect scores, which I later learned was quite unusual. Even though she had not shown interest in birds as a baby, she certainly had the genetics for it. It seemed like every time I looked on Facebook, her sire was winning another field trial or earning a national gun dog placement. 6 months later, Zara and I easily earned her AKC Junior Hunter title. Around the same time, we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I had to decide if I wanted to continue Zara's training so that she could compete in more advanced competitions. I knew it would not be easy, especially for someone like me who had no experience with hunting or training bird dogs. But I decided to go for it. Owning an energetic vizsla was more work than we had realized, and I didn't know if my husband would agree to ever get another vizsla in the future. This might be my only chance to have a dog like this, and I didn't want to waste that opportunity. What I didn't realize was how difficult it would be to find a place to train and people to train with. After a year of living in Raleigh, with hardly any progress made toward getting Zara steady, I met a guy at the dog park who told me about NAVHDA. I had heard of the organization before, but didn't know much about it. I figured that I had nothing to lose, so I visited the Tar Heel chapter's training day in August of 2017. What I found was a group of welcoming, encouraging men and women who enjoyed the same things I did, spending time with their dogs outside and doing their own training. I was overwhelmed and impressed that first day as I watched a guy's dog retrieve a bumper from the water. She carefully made her way up the bank, sat squarely next to him, and presented the bumper. After he took it from her, she shook on command. Wow, I thought. Zara would never do that. Although she loved to retrieve toys, she did not bring them to hand, and she had zero desire to retrieve dead birds. I quickly decided that I wanted to join NAVHDA, and I started attending the training days every month. I took it slow for the first year, solely focusing on steadiness, uncertain that I wanted to pursue training for the utility test. When I joined NAVHDA, Zara was almost 4 years old, way past the age to test in natural ability. I knew if we wanted to enter the utility level, we had our work cut out for us. In the summer of 2018, I decided to start training Zara to retrieve. If we could get that solid, then the UT test was a possibility. I didn't want to do the traditional force fetch method if I didn't have to. I knew that Zara is a sensitive dog, and I wasn't sure if I would have the grit to make it through that sort of training regimen. Instead, I found some YouTube videos focusing on positive retrieve training and started teaching hold with a clicker and treats. Even though Zara is very food motivated, she had little desire to take an object from me and hold it in her mouth. Weeks went by with little progress. I started throwing a bumper to increase her excitement instead of having her take it from me. She would retrieve it if she was in the mood, and eventually I was able to get her to hold it as she brought it to me, which was a major accomplishment. After 6 months of this, I knew I would need something stronger than food to enforce the command. There would be times when she wouldn't want to fetch, and that was not going to work in a testing scenario. I decided to add an e-collar, which was a process in itself, because although we had an e-collar for 3 years, I had never used anything other than the beep. I used it on commands she already knew, such as sit and come, and I also taught place using the collar. After a month or so of that, I applied the e-collar to the fetch command, which she knew very well at that point. When I started having Zara work for her dinner, in addition to using the collar, her attitude drastically improved, and she really started to get it. A year after we'd started, I could confidently say that I turned my non-retrieving dog into one who would eagerly retrieve dead birds and ducks to hand without using force fetch. And I'd done it when she was 5 years old. I was outside nearly every morning and evening, throwing dead birds around my front yard and enthusiastically rewarding Zara with her raw-fed meals when she brought them back. I'm sure my neighbors thought I was nuts, but it had paid off. By midsummer of 2019, we were fervently training for the utility test in October. After I taught Zara to retrieve, many of the other pieces such as the duck drag, retrieve of duck, and duck search started coming together at the NAVHDA training days. Although I had used unusual methods to train Zara, everyone in my chapter was always supportive and helpful. At the final training day before the test, I took Zara in the field to test her steadiness and was shocked to find that she was consistently breaking on the gunshot and not listening to me. I was beside myself. We had worked on steadiness for the better part of 3 years. With a month to go, I decided to use the e-collar to condition her to whoa, which I had never done before. Even though I knew it might not work, I had to give it a shot. So I started training 3 times a day and was happy to see progress when some of the NAVHDA members and I got together a week before the test.
Whoa. Good.
The day of the utility test dawned hot and muggy, with unseasonable highs expected in the mid-90s. Zara and I were first up in the field, and I was nervous. Fieldwork was our weak point, and I knew it could go one of 2 ways. Either Zara would behave and do great, or it could be a complete disaster. In all the other areas, I knew she was capable of prize 1 work. Zara made it around fairly clean in the field, and after that, I felt relieved. She was near perfect at the duck drag, steadiness by blind, and retrieve of duck. But when it came to duck search, she was not feeling it that day. Maybe it was the fact that it was 97 degrees, or that there was no wind, or that the duck was placed further out than we had done in training. She had done great duck searches many times before, but on test day, she kept coming back to me and would not expand very far. When the scores were read, Zara received a 1 in duck search, so she did not pass. I was devastated. After working so hard for so long, I had not anticipated that she might fail. Ironically, all of her other scores were high enough to earn a prize 1. But after a while, I recognized how far we had come, and how unlikely it was that we had even made it to that point. And this would not have been possible without NAVHDA. What's my NAVHDA? My NAVHDA is a group of people who come together once a month with mutual goals. My NAVHDA is members who are not judgmental, who accept a clueless young woman with an older dog into their fold without question. My NAVHDA is dedication. My NAVHDA is encouragement, opportunity, sharing knowledge, creating memories, working together. My NAVHDA has allowed me to achieve things I never thought possible. What's your NAVHDA?